The 2013 English-language remake of Park Chan-wook's harrowing masterpiece Oldboy was not very good. That's hardly surprising, considering the original is one of the greatest films ever made, with basically nothing to improve upon. But the remake is a project with an interesting little history behind it that goes a bit beyond the well-known involvement of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. Not George Lucas, Will Smith. Here's the story. Released in 2003, the same year as Bong Joon-ho's Memories of Murder and Kim Ji-woon's A Tale of Two Sisters, Oldboy was part of the first wave of international breakthroughs that put modern Korean cinema on the map. Director Park Chan-wook, like his contemporaries, had been celebrated for his sumptuous photography, odd story structuring, and violent action sequences. But with Oldboy, he'd gone several steps further. This intricately plotted and visceral revenge thriller built to a climax so shocking and boundary-pushing in its content that most viewers, even today, are simply left stunned. Park came to be hailed as perhaps the most audacious and uncompromising Korean filmmaker of his generation. Less than a year after Oldboy's initial release, there was already talk of an American remake. Universal Pictures acquired the rights, and the project was offered to Justin Lin, then one of the hottest young talents in Hollywood. Lin had recently broken out with the low-budget indie drama Better Luck Tomorrow, about a group of Asian American teenagers heedlessly leading double lives of upper-class achievement and violent crime. Lin's work was stylish, controversial, and critically lauded, but few, if any, were looking forward to a potential Oldboy remake. In 2005, there were rumors that either Nicolas Cage or Thomas Jane would star in the film, but by 2007, Lin revealed that it wasn't likely to move forward. Lin went on to make his career in Hollywood, directing mega-budget hits like Star Trek Beyond and many of the Fast and Furious sequels. In 2008, Steven Spielberg and Will Smith entered negotiations to take over the Oldboy project with DreamWorks. Smith's star power was arguably at its height, following a 5-year run of massive box office hits, and Spielberg's latest blockbusters had been surprising audiences and critics alike with their uncharacteristically dark tones. Again, reports of the production were not enthusiastic, though there was some minor relief when Smith revealed that the movie was not planned as a straight remake, but rather a new adaptation of the original manga series on which Park's film was based. Mark Protasiewicz, a writer accustomed to dark and disturbing material like The Cell, and who'd recently written Smith's 2007 version of I Am Legend, was brought on board to adapt the story. He later said that although the production never advanced beyond some initial meetings, it was clear to him that Spielberg had no intention of softening the original film's bleak atmosphere, nor was he going to alter its horrific twist ending. The project ran into a sticky legal situation when the publishers of the original manga sued the Korean studio behind the original film, claiming that the rights to the manga had been licensed without their permission. By late 2009, the project was reportedly cancelled. Protasiewicz, however, couldn't shake his interest in the story. He wound up following through on his rewrite, which actually managed to resurrect the project about a year later at another studio. Spielberg was again offered the director's chair, as was Kingsman filmmaker Matthew Vaughn and Trainspotting director Danny Boyle. The job eventually went to Spike Lee, a very unusual choice, since Lee is not typically known for this type of pulpy genre movie making. Josh Brolin was cast as the lead in 2011, and Protasiewicz's screenplay did turn out to be a direct remake of the original film. When the American Oldboy was finally released in 2013, it met with pretty much exactly the reaction that was expected. The movie was panned, declared unnecessary, and quickly vanished from theater screens. While it isn't as good as the original, Lee's Oldboy is actually better than you'd expect it to be. Brolin gives an intense and physically committed performance that genuinely earns a comparison with Choi Min-sik's. Lee's direction is skillful and strong, and Protasiewicz, who received Park Chan-wook's full approval for this rewrite, tries to approach the material from a different perspective. This version puts more focus on character and tries to take us a little deeper into the protagonist's life. Here, the character is presented as a pitiful and bitter alcoholic, already well on his way to the bottom, before the gears of the plot find him. The ending isn't quite as dark, but it's reworked in an interesting way to pay off with these new ideas. Somewhat infamously, the film was taken out of Lee's hands during editing and cut by about 40 minutes. To voice his disapproval, Lee removed his trademark Spike Lee joint credit and replaced it with the more generic A Spike Lee Film. His director's cut likely won't see a release, which is a shame. There's enough there, even in this compromised version, to show that although Lee was paying homage to the original, he wasn't just trying to copy it. He was making it his own. More importantly, regardless of whether Lee's cut is better or not, a director's vision should always be allowed to sink or swim based on its own intentions, not the interference of others.